What is the difference between 2x and x squared? We've seen a lot of 2x lately. We haven't seen so much of x squared. What's the difference? 2x is the same as x plus x. We've also seen it written 1x plus 1x, and 1x plus 1x equals 2x. But what about x squared? X squared is the same thing as x times x. When we multiply x times x, we say that equals x squared. What is an exponent? An exponent is the tiny number or variable that tells how many times the base is multiplied by itself. Now if I lost you there, look right here. This is the base. This is the exponent. A to the fifth simply means write down the base 5 times. A times A times A times A times A. In the same sense, 2 to the fifth would mean writing down 2 5 times and multiplying them together. 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 2, we do in pieces. 2 times 2 is 4, times 2 is 8, times 2 is 16, times 2 is 32. Putting it all together, if I have 2a in parentheses to the fifth power, I would write down 2a 5 times and multiply it together. I know that 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 equals 32, and a times a times a times a times a equals a to the fifth. Let's try a few examples together. Go ahead and pause the video and see if you can find the answers to these problems. Then check them. The answer to this first one, x cubed, is x times x times x, and x to the fifth would be x multiplied by itself 5 times. We have a total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, or x to the 8th. For this next one, 2 squared is 2 times 2. 2 cubed means 2 times 2 times 2. Altogether, 2 times 2, 5 times, would give you 32. For this next one, x cubed to the fifth would mean x to the cubed written out 5 times and multiplied together. Each x cubed represents 3 x's being multiplied together. Altogether, we have 15 x's being multiplied together, or x to the 15th. For this next one, 3b squared to the 4th power means write down 3b squared 4 times. When you multiply them together, multiply the 3's first, which gives us 81, and then the b squares. We notice that we have 8 total b's being multiplied together, which gives us b to the 8th. These next 5 examples I want to talk about carefully because you'll notice they're similar, but all are different. Look at where the negatives are placed. Negative 3 is being multiplied to a to the cubed on this first one. Negative 3 is in parentheses, which means the whole quantity, negative 3, is being cubed. Negative 3 is in parentheses here, so the whole quantity is being squared. Negative 3a is in parentheses, so all of this mess is being cubed. And notice here the negative is outside the parenthesis, so only the 3a is being squared, not the negative. For the very first one, we don't really need to do much for it. Its simplified form is simply this. We do not need to cube the negative 3. The negative 3 is not part of what is being cubed. Only the a is being cubed. The negative 3 is simply being multiplied to that quantity. For the other 4 examples, I would like you to try them now. See what you think the answer should be, and then check them with the video. Notice that on this first one, the negative 3 is being cubed, so I write it down 3 times. 2 negatives, when multiplied, make a positive. And then we multiply it times that third negative 3, it turns back negative. We have a negative 27 as our final answer. This next one has negative 3 being squared. Negative 3 times negative 3 equals a positive 9. Notice on this one that negative 3a, the entire quantity is being cubed, so we need to write this down 3 times. Then we can multiply the negative 3's together, which we saw above gives us negative 27, and the a's, which give us a cubed. On this last one, notice that the negative is in front of the parenthesis. That means that we simply write it down, and we do not need to square it. Only the 3a is affected by this exponent, not the negative. It is outside of the parenthesis. The 3a together is affected by this exponent, and we need to write down this 3a 2 times and multiply it together. 3a times 3a. Altogether, our final answer would keep that negative out front and not do anything special with it, and 3a times 3a would be 9a squared. Take a look at these final 2 examples. I would like you to try them both on your own, and then check back with the video to see how you did. Notice for this first one that my x squared y cubed is being raised to the 4th power. So I write this red one down 4 times, and I write the blue chunk down 3 times. Looking at what each means, each x squared is written below, and I also have x squareds over here. Altogether, my yellow highlighted x's give me 14 x's being multiplied together, or x to the 14th. I have a total of 3, 6, 9, 12 y's being multiplied together, y to the 12th. And in terms of constants, 2 times 2 is 4, times 2 is 8. We always write our constant in the front at the beginning. So my final answer would be 8 x to the 14th, y to the 12th. For this next one, at any time you see a negative, it might be helpful to slip in a 1. This is a negative 1 times x to the 5th, y. Then I write out the red parenthesis 2 times being multiplied together, and the blue one 3 times. Looking at how many x's I have 5 here, 5 here, so that's 10, 11, 12, 13. I have x to the 13th, 2 y's would make y squared, and then I have my negative 1 times negative 1 times 2 times 2 times 2. Well, 2 times 2 times 2 would be 8. Negative 1 times negative 1 would be positive 1. That would give me a positive 1 times 8, or just simply 8. X cubed, y squared. Now you're ready to start your homework. Notice for number 1, I write out the x cubed twice because it's being squared, which gives me a total of 6 x's being multiplied together, or x to the 6th. I find my answer in the right-hand side of the first box, and I write that answer down under number 1. 1 is h. Now please be very careful on the second side. There's a lot of negatives, and I want to make sure that you remember, if the negative is inside of the parenthesis, it does need to be squared. So that needs to be written out 2 times, negative 5 times negative 5. However, if the negative is outside of the parenthesis, you do not cube that negative, and you simply write it down. Good luck!